This video is brought to you by Skillshare. Hit that link in the description and begin your journey learning new skills and quenching intellectual thirst. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here, and welcome back to another episode of Witch Ninja, a series that looks at media's most popular shinobi scene, which are good and which are bad. Alright, so with the Sisyphus boulder that was the Witch Ninja on Ghost of Tsushima finally out of the way, let's lasso back our previous topic, the shinobi origins of Prince Zuko of Avatar The Last Airbender acclaim, which itself was such a boulder-sized undertaking that it required 2 separate episodes. Cause if you thought the Ghost of Tsushima video was long, complicated, and filled to capacity with ninja knowledge,
well, be that as it may, perhaps a refresher would be in order.
Fair point. For the utterly confused in the audience, as fans of the series from our early days in college, we've been keeping a close eye on the extensive hype that's been surrounding the Avatar franchise. There's been a massive resurgence of popularity for the show since its release on Netflix, and now there's a lot of talk about a live-action remake with extra material like characters and stories to be added in.
Wait, hang on. Well, never freaking mind, but hey, at least Korra's coming to Netflix to join the original series.
Okay, well, regardless. With all of that hype came a lot of fans asking us to break down the best character in the series, yeah I said it, Crown Prince Zuko. Because while Zuko is a fearsome firebender never afraid of a front-facing fight, he's also the sneakiest character in the series, infiltrating multiple locations both overtly and covertly as the series progressed. Thus prompted the question, is Zuko actually a ninja?
To which, I mean, of course the answer was yes. Did you see how long that part 1 video was?
Yeah, last time we put a spotlight on Zuko's shinobi-like tendencies from the start of the show, right up through the middle of the 2nd season, covering everything from his infiltration of the Northern Water Tribe through all of his exploits as the Blue Spirit, confirming these tendencies with everything from historical shinobi texts to museum-housed relics.
You know, speaking of old books and museum pieces, something that always happens without fail is at least one person in the comments asking how in the world we research these things and find information. And the funny thing is, the answer to each time has been the same. Internet.
Well, that's not meant to be the cheap Fairly Odd Parents joke it sounds like, but it's absolutely true. I get asked all the time about sources to go check out and books to look up, but really you can learn quite literally anything about anything online. From mechanical engineering, to learning Japanese, to baking, to origami, to computer programming, to Japanese cooking, to animation.
Yeah, cause that list isn't biased at all. Wait, are you trying to sneak in our sponsor Skillshare?
Look, sponsor or not, I think Skillshare is pretty freaking amazing. I've always, over my 8-year career, advocated the normalization of self-driven education online. So why wouldn't I showcase one of the biggest hubs of net-based learning? To anyone out of the loop, Skillshare is an online learning community where millions of folks have come together to learn and compile personal classes for nearly limitless topics. Fine art, marketing, entrepreneurship, web development, it's literally all there. Personally, I've been tooling around the Japanese language classes to shake off lingual rust I built up over the years.
Yeah, but you really should take a course or 2 on Photoshop and After Effects. I could use an update.
But no matter what subject you choose, each class is crafted by an actual, passionate, caring person on the subject, not some regurgitated, institutionalized lesson. So if you've been looking for a new skill to develop, an aid to refine what you know, or you're just curious about a topic and want to learn more about it, check out the link in the description, because the first 1,000 viewers to hit it will pick up a 2-month free trial of everything Skillshare has to offer. So if you've ever wanted to spend some time picking up a new skill, or have just been wildly curious about a topic but have had no way to learn, hit that link in the description and get started today. Alright, back to Ninja Zuko theory crafting. Now, admittedly, even in that nearly 16-minute video we did a few weeks back, we didn't cover everything ninja about Zuko from those first seasons in the show, such as his use of, quote, quality rope and the importance of rope and rope-like items to a shinobi due to its unlimited practicality, or how Zuko's breath of fire technique, which was taught by good old Uncle Iroh, actually has not one, but several different entries in the Bansenshukai, one of the few handfuls of Edo and pre-Edo period books of information we have about shinobi, and the book that we're going to be referencing a lot today.
Well, good news, you just covered them. But we can't languish on the past. We still got another season and a half of Zuko's ninja tendencies to go over. However, one quick thing before we do. Like we said in part 1, we really don't want to start a copyright altercation with Viacom. So we're limiting our citations of the show to just still images as aids to explain what we're going on about.
Thankfully for me and my limited research time, we actually don't see Zuko climbing back into the role of a shinobi until Season 3, The Book of Fire. But interestingly enough, it's within this season that Zuko really flexes his ninja muscles as he, partnered with other members of the cast, execute by-the-book examples of Inin and Yoni. Inin being the execution of covert sneaking into a location without being seen, and Yonin being the overt execution of sneaking into a location in plain sight using disguises and such. Now, we previously spent a great deal of time talking about Zuko's Inin strategies as the Blue Spirit, but even without the mask, in Season 3, Episode 14, The Southern Raiders, Zuko is still pulling off textbook Shinobi Inin strategies.
For context, this was the intel mission that Zuko and Katara went on to find the killer of her and Sokka's mother, and was also the episode that made all the Zutara shippers lose their mind.
While on the surface, many people, myself included, thought that these two were just being generally sneaky, little did I know, now having read the Bansenshukai, I found that every single scene in this episode has these two characters being more by the book Shinobi than I've seen in any other Western animation. So check this out. Before Zuko and Katara depart for the Fire Nation Navy base, we see them gearing up in dark clothes that—
Oh, I got this, because as we always say, real ninja wear— Wait, this ain't blue, it's black!
Yeah, we may need to amend that jingle, because in the Bansenshukai Inin 5, under 4 points on the outfit to be worn on night raids, point 1 states, do not wear a white Kosode jacket. The reason why is to be orally transmitted. On secret attacks, wear a black futai, which is a double-layered black top.
But the moon, the blue, the contrast!
Trust me, I get ya, and the idea is still applicable to outdoor infiltration and raiding, but Zuko and Katara were headed for a Navy base, likely having to sneak around indoors with zero moonlight. It was actually smarter for them to wear black instead of blue like the Bansenshukai suggests. In fact, if you think about it, when Zuko was eating his way into the Northern Water Tribe to get Aang way back in Season 1, he was wearing white. Navy blue's a good standard and a good default, but dressing for the occasion does not have rules set in stone. Blending in is all that matters. But Zuko's Shinobi wisdom goes beyond the right fashion for the job. About midway through the episode, Zuko comments to Katara that she needs sleep in order to keep up her strength for the mission ahead. This was more than just practical advice. This was a ninja necessity. Inin 1 under 10 points to consider before the mission. Point 2. You should take a nap before stealing in, as sleep is a human behavior just as day and night are part of the sky. No matter how encouraged you feel, you cannot perform anything without sleep.
Right, but what about the infiltration itself?
Still 100% by the book, amazingly enough, and during both infiltration missions. With the Navy ship base infiltration and the attack of the Southern Raider ship, the two always move specifically at night. Now, besides being harder to see, there is a more psychological reason for stealing in at this time cited in the Bansenshukai. Inin 1 under the 8 points of the art of infiltrating by taking advantage of the enemy's negligence. Under point 1, the mindset of people varies according to whether they're at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of a watch. At the beginning, they are keen and energetic. In the middle, they become slack and lazy. And at the end, they get bored and want to leave or even fall asleep sometimes. Therefore, experienced ninja avoid the time when the guards are keen and energetic, but wait for the time when they get bored and sleepy. Taking advantage of the time, they immediately get in without delay and there's no chance of failure. This also ties into when and how Katara and Zuko attack the Southern Raider ship. The first strike we see is Katara waterbending whips around one of the men while appearing on the other side to knock the rest off. And in just a few frames, we could see that these men were casually just sitting down to dinner completely off guard. And yes, the Bansenshukai has something to say even about this. Going back to the 8 points on the art of infiltrating by taking advantage of the enemy's negligence, this time with point 3. While observing a guardhouse, if you hear the guards speaking loudly, engaging in friendly chat, having a drinking party, singing, etc., it is often because only the young and inexperienced guards are working on that shift without old and experienced ones. This is exactly where you should get in. Do not hesitate. Finally, the last thing I absolutely have to point out is how Zuko and Katara approach their infiltration targets, because both times they did it from the water, first on foot, then with Appa. Now, it should come as no surprise for any of my longtime viewers that this very obviously is a form of Suito no Jutsu, a collection of water utilization techniques to either act as an escape or an ambush setup. Obviously, this is the latter case. But when Katara and Zuko infiltrate the Navy base, they do so from the water going up to the base itself. And I kid you not, the Bansenshukai lines out even this tiny detail to the approach. Inin 2, infiltrating a castle part 2, under 12 points on appropriate places for infiltration. Point 1. 1. By a steep area if it's a mountain castle or castle on a hill. 2. By the sea or river if it's a waterside castle. In this case, not only was the castle on a hill, but it was also right by the sea. Thus, from the water, a bottom to top path of infiltration was again, literally by the book.
You know, now that I think about it, that's also how Zuko infiltrated the Northern Water Tribe all the way back in Season 1. Yeah, we really did miss out on a lot of details in that last video, didn't we?
More than you think. because now we have the other side of the coin to consider. Where we've spent the better part of a video and a half describing all the textbook ways that Zuko executes Inin, now we gotta talk about his skills with Yonin, because despite most of the following points likely being coincidental, it still floors me at how vividly connected Zuko's actions are between his tactics of hiding through disguise and this book. Though Season 3 isn't even close to the first time we see Zuko executing Yonin, it's Season 3, Episode 14, The Boiling Rock, where we really see Zuko, alongside Sokka, funny enough, pull off a number of by-the-book infiltration techniques straight out of the Bansenshukai. To give unfamiliar viewers a little context, this was the episode where Zuko and Sokka attempted to sneak into the Fire Nation's most fortified POW penitentiary in order to bust out Sokka and Katara's father, Hakoda. This was to be a short-term infiltration mission. Disguise themselves as Fire Nation soldiers, figure out where/if Hakoda was there, and then get out. And unsurprisingly at this point, the Bansenshukai actually has a term for this kind of operation under Volume 9 Yonin 2, Chikari no Jutsu. In fact, this entire volume revolves around this type of infiltration mission, which Zuko and Sokka take point for point. But the first thing that one needs to do when Yonin-ing is get a disguise, which is also the first thing that Zuko and Sokka do. Interestingly though, they opted to take the guise of lowly guards rather than officers, potentially limiting their ability to scour the prison without interruption. But doing this was the smarter move, as the Bansenshukai highlights under the 3 points of Katatagai no Jutsu Point 2. There is an advantage in the art of changing your appearance to that of a lower soldier and infiltrating as separate agents, in this case when ninja were in a group. The advantage of this technique of changing your appearance to a lower soldier is that if you disguise yourself as a fully armored samurai, you will be so conspicuous that it will not be long before you are questioned. Also, you will be most likely spoken to at some point, even by a stranger. Thus, the chances of being suspected are quite high. Therefore, to have an advantage in Funin, that is the art of slipping in, you should use the art of masquerading yourself as a lower soldier.
So, disguise lowly to be left alone. Seems more logical than anything.
Well, like I said at the end of our Ghost of Tsushima video, ninja were more about logic than they were about combat. But let's not go too off the rails here. Now, it's one thing to look like your enemy, but that does you no good unless you know how to act like your enemy too. Not a second after the two donned their disguises, Zuko and Sokka were called out to quell a prison riot, which led to them being backhandedly singled out, which almost got their cover completely blown if Zuko hadn't spoken up. While I know this may seem like nothing more than mild tension and throwaway humor, it's a critical point of Yonin that can't be overlooked, because doing so will absolutely get a ninja caught. As it's said under the 4 points of password, section 4, try to copy whatever the enemy does, Bakemono no Jutsu. Regardless of what the passwords are or what the sign marks are given, the key is to do whatever the enemy does and say whatever the enemy says. This is the essential point in Shinobi no Jutsu and is there to avoid danger.
He wants to know what he did. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, very cute, sir.
Super cute.
With the duo's identities successfully hidden away, the next step in the plan was getting intel without looking suspicious. There wasn't time or convenience enough for Zuko and Sokka to comb the boiling rock top to bottom to find Hakoda, so Zuko took it upon himself to start getting information from the other guards. But how does one go about that and not seem suspicious? Well, we actually get an answer to that very question under the 4 points of the Art of Password section 1, getting information about the enemy by asking their lowest ranking soldiers. Every samurai is normally prudent, while lower people and soldiers are generally stupid and unwise, so nothing is better than talking to lower people to have them give away their secrets. Particularly, the young, the drunk, or the rash are best. Zuko, in comparison, used this strategy to a T. While getting food at the lounge, he's approached by 3 guards who tell him to take his helmet off and relax, poking fun at his inability to loosen up. This, as well as their appearance, made it very obvious that these particular guards were lackadaisical, young, and especially rash considering how they beat each other in the head in response to in-jokes. Unfocused and likely unintelligent, the perfect source for basic information.
Sadly though, after this is where Zuko made his greatest blunder. Turns out that despite his impeccable skills with Inin, his skills at Yonin were a bit lacking, if his awkward conversations under his guard persona weren't already a dead giveaway.
Hey there, fellow guard. How goes it?
After discovering Sokka's main Squeezuki was being held at Boiling Rock, the two made their way to establish contact with her. But their time was cut short when another guard approached Zuko while Sokka was inside with Suki. Panicking, Zuko bubbled a half-hearted excuse as to why the guard couldn't go in, creating suspicion, then openly attacking the guard. Point 2 under 2 points of Bakemono no Jutsu, or the Art of Transformation. It is difficult to fulfill this unless you have an absolutely fearless mind like that of iron. If you are easily frightened by the enemy, your plans will forever be discovered and you will cause a disaster. If you are upset at the feints the enemy makes at you, your secret intentions will be revealed. Remind me, why is Zuko a good ninja again?
Okay, yeah, Zuko's panicking got him found out and turned into the Warden's new special prisoner, but as luck would have it, Shinobi strategies accidentally saved not just Zuko, but the entire crew in the end.
You want to explain that loaded sentence there, buddy?
2 words, Chit Sang. As Zuko, Sokka, and Suki tried to develop their escape plan, fellow prisoner Chit Sang was eavesdropping and demanded to be part of the plan lest he tell the Warden. Now, while on the surface this may seem like a liability, Chit Sang was the key component to their plan. Fake a fight with Zuko to get him into the cooler, unbolt it, and use it as a raft to get past the boiling rock's boiling water.
Yeah, but didn't he royally botch it by being careless?
Sure, but that's why you always have a contingency plan, which in this case was start a prison riot, capture the Warden to use as a body shield, and then use the cable cars overhanging the boiling river to get out. And this was solely possible because of Chit Sang. He was instrumental in starting the fight with Zuko to get him into the cooler, he was critical in getting both Sokka out of his 5th or 6th Yonin screw-up, and finally, only he knew the one true way to start a big enough riot to distract the entire prison yard. In every case, he knew exactly what the group needed to do to execute both plans, all of which are strategies described under the 7 points on Ryakyu Honjutsu or information gathering. We mentioned this just a bit ago when talking about who to talk to in order to get intel, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. Point 2. How to inquire for information. To get such information, you should approach those who have left the enemy side and are now masterless samurai, or monks, merchants, blind musicians, Sarugaku musicians, and so on, all of whom have access to the enemy side, and question them and record everything. Chit Sang had an utter hatred for the Warden and his guards of Boiling Rock, established very early at the beginning of the episode when he was essentially bullied into extreme punishment. He was more than happy to help the gang out, even after the first attempt botched. Whether Zuko and the gang realized it or not, Chit Sang was absolutely critical for getting information and inciting distraction incidents, advice taken right out of the Bansenshukai.
So even after Zuko pulled his Shinobi screw-up, it was still by-the-book ninja concepts that helped him pick up the pieces.
Pretty much. At the beginning of Volume 11, it stated that though Inin is not as good as Yonin, if you only have Yojutsu but no Injutsu, you cannot benefit from any of it. It's pretty obvious that Zuko has Inin thoroughly down pat, but when it comes to Yonin, he's got a long way to go. But I don't think that makes him a trash-tier ninja. Heck, if anything, it makes him feel a bit more real. That, and it's rather impossible to just ignore everything else he's accomplished as the Blue Spirit, or his infiltration of the Northern Water Tribe, or the Southern Raiders. In all things, coincidence or not, it was all done, literally, by the book. Which, as far as I'm concerned, coincidence or not, makes Zuko one of the best ninjas in Western animation. Once again, a big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you're looking for an online database to learn a new skill or just quench curiosity, the first 1,000 folks who click the link in the description will get 2 months of Skillshare's premium service absolutely free. But either way, guys, thanks for watching. We got more Ghost of Tsushima content coming down the pipeline, as well as some coming info on Neo 2's first round of DLC, involving the Heian period and Japan's greatest swordsman in history. But if you caught my streams every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, you might have heard a little bit about it by now. But no matter where you may find me, guys, until next time, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.